Make sure it's a safe one.
They've arrived amidst a storm of controversy. I'm Carol Yelverton. Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, how will the Promise Keepers play in New England?
A new Mortal Kombat hits a new level of violence. Who would get their kicks from playing this?
Now, Boston's 10 p.m. news leader. This is the 10 o'clock news on WB56.
The Barnstable County Fair feels the wrath of tropical storm for the first time.
Really?
So
That'll
be a new thing, huh?
It'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Well, finally tonight, a new arcade game is causing quite a sensation.
Mortal Kombat 4 is debuting in Boston to hundreds of aficionados at Good Time Billiards in Somerville. And as I found tonight, they were having a good time. You're gonna need Ben Gay or Doan's pills for this one. This is the immortal Mortal Kombat 4, complete with a bad Uncle Fester lookalike on the side. Touted as the fastest, most realistic 3D video game ever created.
It's pretty good. It's come a long way since I played Atari way back in '76.
This one's a huge step forward over the third one. It's definitely more fluid motion, better animation. You can tell the technology's gotten a lot better.
This is Mortal Kombat 4's debut in Boston, part of a nationwide sneak preview tour before its release on Labor Day weekend. Its makers use state-of-the-art motion capture technology with martial artists and actors to maximize realistic action. But with all this hitting and striking and kicking and stomping and red drippy blood, isn't this a little much?
We know that our players know the difference between fantasy and reality. Anybody who plays this game for any length of time can see that.
And anyone who peddles this game can see that it attracts quite a crowd. Keely Nealon drove all the way from the state of Connecticut to try out this bloody competition. Violence? What violence?
It doesn't bother me at all, just as long as you don't take it seriously, you know. No, it doesn't bother me.
One good thing about having Mortal Kombat 4 in an arcade like this is that you don't have to wait to play any other games. For instance, you don't see a horde of people waiting behind me salivating to play with Sammy the Clown and his flying coin circus with the amazing bonus wagon. Mortal Kombat fans will tell you Sammy doesn't throw flying drop kicks. He doesn't beat his opponents over the head with a sledgehammer. And he doesn't slice his adversaries up with a battle axe till they die a horrible screaming death. And therein lies the fun.
Gives you a way to vent something. If you're angry or something, play video games and taking it out in the real world, and you just got to separate yourself between the real world and video games, I guess.
Of course, Mortal Kombat 4 comes after 1, 2, and 3. This one is seriously upgraded from what I understand.
Wow, whatever happened to Pac-Man? That was my favorite
it was a nice
game.
little innocent game, little smiley face profile eating all those dots. I have no earthly clue. We'll have an update tomorrow night, though, however.
All righty. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.
Straight ahead from News Center 6, they swam and swam, but they could not swim over the dam. Now, the federal government may have to pay $3 million to rescue fish behind the Bonneville Dam.
Investigators get new clues and new leads that may help them close in on the kidnapper of a 7-year-old Hermiston girl.
And his funeral is over, but Portland still mourns the loss of police officer Thomas Jeffries. There's another tribute to the slain officer set for tonight.
The News at 6 is coming up right now.
You're watching Coin TV, Channel 6. The news for Portland, Vancouver, and the Pacific Northwest. This is News Center 6 Weekend Edition.
Despite the sunny weather, a lot of kids were crammed inside today, testing their skills against a new version of a popular video game. It's called Mortal Kombat 4. The new computer chip creates a three-dimensional image, faster play, and more realistic pictures. The company which makes the game is trucking it to select cities around the country before it's released in the arcades, and Portland's on the list. Until 7 tonight, you can play the game at the Family Fun Center in Wilsonville. Mortal Kombat experts give the new version high marks.
It's awesome. It's got 3D worlds and there's weapons. It's really fast. It's got really cool moves and stuff. It's just a lot of fun to play. It's a major. I like it a lot better than the last one.
The first 3 Mortal Kombat games have collected more than $1 billion worldwide, 1 quarter at a time. MK4 comes to arcades on Labor Day weekend.
From Fox 49, KPDX, with complete local coverage of the day's top stories, this is Fox News at 10.
The trip upstream just got tougher for hundreds of fish in the Columbia River. Find out why it will cost millions of dollars to rescue fish trapped behind the Bonneville Dam. Despite sunny weather, kids crammed inside today, testing their skills against a new version of a popular video game. It's called Mortal Kombat 4. The new computer chip creates a three-dimensional image, faster play, and more realistic pictures. The company which makes the game is trucking it to select cities around the country before it's released in arcades, and Portland's on the list. Kids got a chance to play the game today at the Family Fun Center in Wilsonville. Mortal Kombat experts give the new version high marks.
It's awesome. It's got 3D worlds and there's weapons. It's really fast. It's got really cool moves and stuff. It's just a lot of fun to play. It's a major. I like it a lot better than the last one.
MK4 comes to arcades on Labor Day weekend. In world news tonight.
Now, Baltimore's #1 and most watched news at 5. Live, local, late-breaking. This is 11 News.
Really?
A new video game that promises lots of action and excitement is unveiled in Baltimore. But is it too violent for your kids? That story in our next half hour.
Also ahead, it's called Herbal Ecstasy. It promises a natural high, but now the government wants warning labels saying the stimulant can be dangerous. Meet Mortal Kombat 4, the latest horror in violent video games for your kids.
1 year after the Olympics.
From WBAL TV, you're watching 11 News at 5.
Baltimore is one of a few select cities getting a sneak preview of a new video arcade game.
It's Mortal Kombat 4. The new game unveiled at Security Mall today adds a new level to the series. The makers already have 4 skill levels. The manufacturer of the games has collected more than $1 billion worldwide. The game is scheduled to be released all over on Labor Day. We took a look at games like this one, but are they just games, or could they have long-term effects on violent behavior in our society? Lisa Robinson reports.
These games are action-packed. The characters kick, slam, box, produce blood and guts. Kids seem to love these arcade games, but what about their parents?
They're all right. Some of them okay.
Even the most unsuspecting can be a bit too much for some parents, like this game geared to small children.
Because it promotes violence. And what that lever is doing, I mean, I'm standing here looking at it, and what the thing is doing is trying to kill one of these mice. And to me, that's violence.
So is this all just for fun, with no further implications? We asked the experts. Clinical psychologist Dr. Jim Dassinger says it's just a game.
The actual graphics and things they probably desensitize to rather quickly, and it becomes a competitive kind of a thing for them.
Dr. Susan Villani says she thinks the implications are more serious.
But for many kids, they've learned that this is the way the world operates. It operates with violence. Conflicts are resolved with violence. You don't like someone? Blow him up. He's in your territory? Blow him up.
A representative of a company that distributes these games admits the responsibility is not just on them.
I guess it's up to each player and each parent to determine how violent this content really is. The game is more of an action game. There is some skill involved in fighting your opponent.
Parents can look for ratings on games like this one. It lets players know up front what they're getting into. Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
In addition to ratings, arcade companies can adjust the machines to reflect different effects like less blood and guts. The industry says the trend is away from these action games and toward developing more simulation games like driving and skiing.
5 stands for news. This is News 5 this morning.
Well, video game fans, get your quarters ready. The newest version of the popular arcade game Mortal Kombat is here. The makers of Mortal Kombat 4 are touring the country with the game, and they arrive in Kansas City with it later today. They're giving sneak previews between 4 and 7 o'clock this evening at Cool Crest on 40 Highway. Mortal Kombat is a tournament-style, head-to-head fighting game. New technology allows the game's designers to copy the movements of the animated characters from the motions of human actors. The game hits arcades on Labor Day weekend.
In Kansas City, 5 stands for news. This is News 5 this morning.
You know, arcade game fans have pumped more than $1 billion worth of quarters into the game Mortal Kombat and its sequels.
And the newest sequel, Mortal Kombat 4, is expected to be a hit, too. Jim Tianis is one of the designers of Mortal Kombat 4.
And he joins us live this morning from Cool Crest in Independence. Good morning, Jim.
Hi, Melissa. Hi, Brian. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, thanks. Jim, for those of us who might not be familiar with Mortal Kombat, tell us exactly what it is.
Well, Mortal Kombat 4 is a martial arts game. It's a fighting game. It started back in 1992. John Tobias and Ed Boon are the creators of the game. And this is the 4th iteration, and it's basically a fantasy mythological martial arts fighting game.
Now, I understand that there's something called a Zeus chip that's in this particular game. What's so special about that?
Well, the Zeus chip is something that Midway has created. It's our proprietary hardware. It renders over 1 billion polygons per second. I'm sorry, 1 million polygons per second. Basically that gives us the capability to do some unbelievable graphics. It's a total 3D game.
Jim, let's talk a little bit more about the graphics. We just saw a little bit of video showing those graphics. They really are spectacular. I understand there was something really unique in how these motions were created this time. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, sure. That was basically the initial early Mortal Kombat games were all digitized characters. So we would shoot people against a blue screen and then map their bodies into the game, which was basically 2D. What we did here is called motion capture. We would actually have somebody put these little ping pong balls, they almost look like they're reflective, and we have special infrared cameras that shoot that and shoot the motion. Then we translate the motion into the game, and we can map any surface, any character, any body we want onto those set of dots that you saw there, and it basically makes the game much more realistic. It's almost lifelike.
That is incredible. Now, you were involved in that, weren't you?
Well, no, actually, we're here on the tour, so I don't want to take any credit for this game.
Okay. Now, when will Mortal Kombat 4 come to the neighborhood arcade?
Well, it'll be out in September, and what we're doing here is basically taking the arcade game on the road to give players a chance to get a sneak preview of the game before it hits the arcade in September. So that's why we're here at Cool Crest. Frank Lacassi was great enough to have us here. It's been an excellent experience. We had a great turnout here last night.
Jim, how long did it take to do Mortal Kombat 4?
This is about a year in the making, and right now they're pretty much working around the clock. Things are being put in the game. The game is obviously in a preview state right now. It's not even finished, but it will be by September, and so they're just cranking almost around the clock to get everything finished.
Well, I'm sure you have some kids chomping at the bit, ready for that one.
We sure do. We
Thanks
sure do.
so much for
Thanks,
joining
Jim.
us this morning.
Thank you.
Now, live from Northern California's largest city, KNTV News at 6.
Well, if you need a break from the business world, you might want to play a video game. But games these days are a far cry from the ones you probably grew up with, and they're changing every day. Our high-tech reporter Scott Budman tonight shows us a game and a local company changing the rules.
If you're young and you love action on the small screen, summer means a chance to play the latest video games. It may be a nightmare for parents, but Mortal Kombat is the hottest game going. This is its 4th version, using new technology that makes it more powerful, realistic, and popular than anything else arcades have to offer.
It's awesome.
San Jose's Diamond Multimedia is taking video games to the next level, bringing you into the action with advanced graphics, lighting, and sound.
The sound is actually positioned around you, so as the bad guys who are trying to attack you, as they're coming up on you from behind, you hear them sneaking up on you from behind.
Really good upper body, real good butt. The new realism in video games starts behind the scenes, where actors pose for the cameras. Eventually, you'll be able to play with real people.
They'll play certain scenes and they'll actually focus in on you. I mean, for example, here you can see someone's hands. Those would be my hands, my character's hands. And then it comes to a point and it'll ask me a question and you get to choose the next scene.
Diamond is putting more 3D into your games. They have a mouse you can lift off the desktop, DVD, and internet connection so you can play with anyone, anywhere. They admit all this cutting-edge technology works well for games, but that's just a start.
3D, of course, is great for games, but it's not just games. It's useful on the World Wide Web and great for business graphics and presentations and training because it makes what you see in the computer more real.
The game industry is as hot as ever, and whether you like yours in an arcade or on a PC, what you'll see is changing as fast as the action. Scott Budman, KNTV News.
The latest Mortal Kombat game will be in an arcade near you on Labor Day, so watch out for that one.
I guess the kids love it, but I think I can pass on Mortal Kombat.
You're watching Fox 4 News Morning Show with Sue Mason, Mike Walter, and meteorologist Gary Lezak.
The men have their toys, and we're going to hear all about Quan Chi, right, Mike?
That's right, Heather. The latest improvement on the popular video game Mortal Kombat is making its debut in America. Joanne Fox with Midway is here today to talk about it, and I'll tell you what, Gary's good friend, Dan Suppan, who's in town because his brother's on the Boston Red Sox, is actually playing against Gary, so we're going to show them while we talk about this, and Dan told me something that's really surprising. What? Gary's incredibly competitive. I didn't know that. I was shocked to hear it. Actually, we want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks.
I guess you gave a demonstration last night to some folks who are really into this sort of thing. How'd that go?
That's right. Oh, that was over at Cool Press. We had a good turnout, a lot of very enthusiastic people. As a matter of fact, we met a couple who met each other playing Mortal Kombat back when Mortal Kombat 2 came out. And the girlfriend has a bunny rabbit she named after one of the designers, Ed Boon.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Now, how long has Mortal Kombat been around now? Quite a few years?
Yes.
This is version number 4. What makes it different?
Well, it's 3D. It's got 3D perspective changes, 3D lighting and characters, and you can pull out weapons that you can use against your opponent, which is not so unique in itself, except that you can knock mine away and then take it from me and use it against me.
Now, a lot of parents early on were really concerned about the violence in the game. Is that still a concern, or do you hear those kind of complaints still, or?
Well, we feel that our players can distinguish the difference between reality and fantasy, and this is a game of fantasy filled with myth and a lot of action, and the kids really seem to like the fast reactions and the cool graphics in the game.
Let me ask you this, what's going on here?
He's falling.
That must be Gary.
That's the loser.
That's
yes.
the loser? That's probably Gary then. I'm just kidding. Hey, now you're heading off to St. Louis today. What about people who are watching this and saying, hey, I've got to play this game, I've got to try the new 3D version. Are these available now in a number of arcades in the area, or are they coming?
No, this is a sneak preview.
Okay.
So we're taking it all around the country to 35 different cities, but it won't be available until September.
So you're just really kind of whetting everyone's appetite and frustrating them in a sense, I guess.
Teasing them a little bit, yes.
And you mentioned to me that I guess a couple that was there the other night, they're going to follow you on to St. Louis.
That's right.
They couldn't get enough last night at Cool
They
Press.
got to have more.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I've got to try this one time. Here, Gary.
I'm losing.
I know you're losing. You read that,
go do it.
and I'm going to try
Well,
my
let's check it out. If you thought your school was safe from cutting block in Kansas City, Missouri, you may be surprised. We'll tell you about that next on the
Good morning, everyone, from WBAL-TV, Baltimore. Now, live, local, and late-breaking, this is 11 News.
Time is 6:40 now. Back to news. Baltimore is one of a few select number of cities getting a sneak preview of a new video arcade game. It's called Mortal Kombat 4. The new game was unveiled yesterday at Security Mall. The game maker has collected more than $1 billion already worldwide. That game is scheduled to be released across the country on Labor Day. Some parents have a lot of concerns about violent video games. Are they just games, or could they have long-term effects on violent behavior in our society? Lisa Robinson has that story.
These games are action-packed. The characters kick, slam, box, produce blood and guts. Kids seem to love these arcade games, but what about their parents?
They're all right. Some of them okay.
Even the most unsuspecting can be a bit too much for some parents, like this game geared to small children.
Because it promotes violence. What that lever is doing, I mean, I'm standing here looking at it, and what the thing is doing is trying to kill one of these mice. And to me, that's violence.
So is this all just for fun with no further implications? We asked the experts. Clinical psychologist Dr. Jim Dassinger says it's just a game.
The actual graphics and things they probably desensitize to rather quickly, and it becomes a competitive kind of a thing for them.
Dr. Susan Villani says she thinks the implications are more serious.
But for many kids, they've learned that this is the way the world operates. It operates with violence. Conflicts are resolved with violence. You don't like someone? Blow him up. He's in your territory? Blow him up.
A representative of a company that distributes these games admits the responsibility is not just on them.
I guess it's up to each player and each parent to determine how violent its content really is. The game is more of an action game. There is some skill involved in fighting your opponent.
Parents can look for ratings on games like this one. It lets players know up front what they're getting into. Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
Thank you, Lisa. In addition to ratings, arcade companies can adjust the machines to reflect different effects. The industry says the trend is away from those action games and going now toward developing more simulation games like driving and skiing.
You're watching 12 News at 6 o'clock.
Well, be sure to stay with us because we're looking into the future coming up. We have got your first peek at tomorrow's hottest video game coming up next on 12 News. Well, it won't be in the arcades until next month, but people in Phoenix will get a sneak preview of a brand new video game. It is Mortal Kombat 4, and it is being called the fastest, most realistic 3D video game ever. Now, this is your first glimpse of the game, but some of the actual games will be in Phoenix on Friday at the Castles and Coasters Fun Park. Now, fans can play the new game and meet some of the people who helped develop it. That game itself will come out on Labor Day weekend. It'll probably be in your house a couple of hours later, probably real fast.
Local, live, late breaking. This is Arizona 5 News at 10.
Video games sure have come a long way since the days of Pac-Man, and now there's a new player in the video arcade game. Hundreds of kids lined up today to get a sneak preview of Mortal Kombat 4, the latest rage in video games.
The graphics are fantastic. It's 3D moving everything. The people look real, they move real, they sound real, and it's not, they don't overdo anything.
I've been playing it since they made the first one, and it feels like every time they make another one, it's like 100% improvement. I mean, I've been playing it since 1, and this is 4, and it's just great. I love the new 3D option on there. Makes it look really lifelike.
A little too lifelike for some, parents should be warned. The game is realistic, but it's also quite violent.
Live, local, late-breaking news, plus Chopper 11. Now, Channel 11 News.
If you have kids, then chances are they play video games, and chances are you've probably noticed those games are getting more and more violent. Today, Pittsburgh parents and kids got a sneak preview of what some critics are calling the most violent video game of all, Mortal Kombat 4. Channel 11's Esther Tro is in the newsroom with some feedback. Esther?
Well, Peggy, this game is due out in arcades Labor Day weekend. Meanwhile, parents want to know exactly what kind of game their kids will be playing. Local families got a sneak preview of Mortal Kombat 4 in Harmarville today. And the violence involved is still a concern to parents who've seen their kids act out after playing violent games. Now the Manufacturers Association is rating the games as follows: strong or mild lifelike violence, animated violence, and language ratings are now in place, but parents say they'll make up their own minds about what is appropriate.
At first, I thought he got a little violent with his brothers and sisters and a little angry, and he didn't realize this was a game and to keep it separate. So there was a time when we had to talk to him.
Manufacturers have accepted this rating system, I think, with open arms. It's something that we want to do because we can decide on our own what type of ratings the games need to have.
But some parents are still pushing for an independent rating system. In the newsroom, I'm Esther Tro, Channel 11 News.
Thank you, Esther. The first 3 Mortal Kombat games have netted more than $1 billion worldwide.